Folks, I'm back in the studio today. And I'd like to have a chat about the 6 independent watchmakers I'm keeping my eye on. And maybe you should too. Hey folks, I'm Em. Welcome back. Wrist check for today. Omega Speedmaster, first Omega in space. Beautiful. A heartfelt thank you to everyone who subscribed so far. We just broke 700 people. It's insane! So, independent watchmakers. What makes an independent watchmaker? By definition, it is a watchmaker who is not owned by any parent corporation or groups that could influence the types of design and models that they would release onto the market. Technically, Rolex is an independent, so is Audemars Piguet and Patek Philippe. So in order to call independence in the same way that the broad watch market refers to as independence, we need to restrict that definition a little. So in general, we're now talking about watchmakers that have a lower amount of watches delivered or made per year, and watchmakers that kind of came up on their own as independent labels from perhaps the early 2000s. So that being said, I want to propose to you 6 of the watchmakers that I am currently interested in and the ones that I would buy a piece from. 2 of these watchmakers are probably some that you might know fairly well. However, for the other 4, I'm trying to give you something a little different that I hope you might not have seen before. Let's start with the first one. He is a watchmaker coming from Germany. His name is Stephan Kudoke. I actually thought for the longest time that it was Kudoke and it was a Japanese brand. Stephan Kudoke became a master watchmaker at just the age of 22. 22. And has previously worked in the likes of Glashütte Original, Blancpain, Breguet, and Omega. Yeah, it looks like this guy knows what he's talking about. He's got 4 watch lines. 3 of them are handworks, and the other ones are the more particularly engraved and overworked watches, which are still beautiful, but the one that I would like to bring your attention to today is the Kudoke 2. I think this is absolutely beautiful. It's a 39mm dress watch. The combination that I'll go for is probably either the steel and black dial or one of the rose gold ones. What caught my attention immediately was the 12 o'clock day and night indicator, which I think is one of the prettiest ones I've seen in both idea and execution. It's got a completely in-house caliber, and you can find one on the grey market or second-hand for between 10 and 15k. Also, you'll notice this is a man that when he makes a balance cock, he means it. The second one is a Russian watchmaker, Konstantin Chaykin. In 2010, he became the first, and to my knowledge still the only, Russian watchmaker who became a member of the Académie Horlogère des Créateurs Indépendants, which is the Academy of Independent Watchmakers. He won 2 prizes in Geneva in 2018 for both originality and audacity. And when you look at his pieces, you understand why. He's been famous for his clocks and his Baroque style workings. However, a few years ago he came out with this interpretation of a wristwatch based on folkloristic creatures, which I find it's really fascinating. You might have probably seen his Minion watch, and that's the basic idea. The one that I would like to propose to you today is one that is a bit closer to my culture, and is the Harlequin 21, the comedy of haute horlogerie. So Italian. This piece was inspired by the Venetian Harlequin, one of the, if not the most famous mask in the Italian comedy theatre. It's a 42mm inside, so it might be a little big for my wrists, but I have to try one on. Actually, I might not, because like one of these goes on the grey market between 25 and 45k, depending on the model. and if you can find one. Oh, and the name 21 is because in Italian 21 means 21. And this watch was developed in the 21st year of the 21st century. Moving on to the third one, Christiaan Van Der Klaauw. I don't know how much I butchered this pronunciation. Do correct me. So this guy specialized in astronomical watches, and he's been making them for a good part of 4 decades. He collaborated with the likes of Van Cleef and Arpels to make some of their automatons. And if you've seen these, you know they're amazing mechanical feats. And he also is an honorary member of the Academy of Independent Watchmakers. There's 2 watches that I would really like to at least try on. The Real Moon and Tide. It's a 40mm dress watch that incorporates moon cycles along with the tides that would cause. I just think it's a really balanced and elegant dial. And also this has the advantage of being actually available. You can configure your own version of his watches and buy them, or order them rather than buy them, directly from his website. And we're having a floor price of about 40 grand for one of these pieces. The second one, which is not as available, as far as I understand, is a piece unique. It's the Planetarium Dunes of Mars. He already makes a planetarium line. However, I think the Dune of Mars hits that perfect spot between complicated and elegant. I do find most of his other planetarium watches to be a bit too busy. However, the Dunes of Mars is just gorgeous. The color is perfect, and I mean you can see it. It's got a planetarium on the dial, a real-time planetarium on the dial that works. The fourth of the list, I need to thank young Brando for this, because he's the one that I saw it from first. They're based in Switzerland, and they were founded by Rémi Maillard, who won an innovation prize in 2018 because of the Anywhere model. The Anywhere has a completely unique day and night indicator. The caliber has been made specifically for this purpose, and I'll put a little video of it here in action so you can see how awesome it looks. And the Anywhere that I fell in love with is this beautiful piece unique with this hand brushed dial. Look at the colors of this. I was speechless even the first time I saw it. I hope you are too. It's a piece of art. All of these that I've talked about so far here, I consider them really pieces of art. As a lot of pieces of art, this is also very expensive. I'm not sure about the actual price, but I've read it's north of 150,000 for one of these. So my number 5 is H. Moser. I'm pretty sure some, if not a lot of you, know them already by now. And then the more I thought about it, I was not sure whether or not to include it. The only watch that I would happily obtain from them is the piece unique streamliner, the Pandemonium they just announced. I am not a fan of a lot of their other designs, or rather, I love some of their, for example, Endeavor models. The one with Vanta Black look insane. I just don't think they would be my style. However, they are fun and brilliant independents. They released a mechanical Apple Watch looking thing just for the sake of it, and became known for their, thought-provoking ideas in watches, which is why I really appreciate them. Now that I think of it, probably an Endeavor Perpetual Moon I'd love to try on. But it's 42 mil. Why is it 42 mil? I would have wanted it 38 or 40 mil. So let me know which are your favorite H. Moser watches. Maybe you'll change my mind. And last but by no means least, I think we all thought this was coming, F.P. Journe. Probably the most famous independent watchmaker in today's market. He's worked for greats of the industry and also helped Cartier make some of their CP collection movements. And he's probably one of the most exclusive watch brands in history. FP Journe is the maison that you want to have a journey with. Also because they're never going to give you any watches if you don't have one or multiple of them already. I love his motto, which is the Latin phrase, invent et fecit, which means I invented it and I made it. They do make about 800 pieces per year, who all of them get given only to the collectors who are already with the maison. So your best chance to get one of his pieces is to go to the grey market, where you will pay, a decent premium for them. But this is rare watches. Without talking pieces unique, this is rarity. There's 3 pieces of FP Journe that I would like to show you. The first one is the Lune. The Lune can be obtained in both 40 and 42 millimeters version. The 40 is probably the one that I would go for. Look at these. Look at that piece. FP Journe has got this very specifically designed and refined aesthetic that always sets his pieces up, and you will always be able to recognize a Journe piece from every small details, either on how the subdials are incorporated in the dial, his signature crown, or the way he works all of his movements in beautiful gold. A Lune on the grey market is going to run you about 100k. See? Not cheap. The second one, which is the only one that I will still try on, because I desperately want it to fit me, even though it's 44 millimeter, is the chronograph rattrapante. I think this is one of his most beautiful pieces. I don't really care for the rattrapante function. I mean, I understand how impressive it is horologically, but it's not something that I would ever realistically use. I barely use chronographs on their own. I would love a rose gold version of this. And again, like his predecessor, tend to go above 90,000 on the grey market if you can find one. And the last one, which is the one that probably everyone is most familiar with when it comes to Journe, which is the chronometric resonance. I find this piece insanely fascinating, from the movement, how it works by resonance. It's like these two movements that average each other out. And it's incredibly compact. Unlike the chronograph rattrapante, who was 44 mil, this one is only 40 mil. Beauty, absolute stunner. 150,000 worth of stunner, if you can find one. Again, which is a common thread with Journe, isn't it? So folks, those are 6 of the independent watchmakers that I'm keeping my eye on. There's a lot of them who didn't make the cut this time, like De Bethune, MB&F, although they collaborated with Moser a bunch of times. Zapek, Grunfeld, Urwerk, Rassans, Kurono. There is a lot of them, and do have a look at them, and just let me know in the comments if I did not feature one of your favorite watches from an independent ever, and why. Also, which one is it? I want to go see it. Maybe it's going to be featured in the next round. And there's also 2 honorable mentions that I want to make, and it's 2 independent watchmakers who are up and coming, and they both just finished their Meisterwerk, their masterpiece, their first high horology work. And they are Aaron Serauer from Canada, who just finished this piece, and here it is. And the second one is Simon Brette from Switzerland. Now, if you go on their websites, there's not much in there yet, but I'm really looking forward to see them develop, and who knows, maybe one day order a piece from them. Anyway, folks, that's all I've got for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. See you in the next one.